I'm Maria Elena Giassi, and this is Currents. The new year marks another special day for one group of immigrants, and they celebrated.
My message to the people here is to continue to do what best we do. We pray together, we work together, and we worship God together.
Plus, it's decision day at the Iowa caucuses. We'll get the 411 on the field of candidates. And take a look at the lighter side of campaigning. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Sunday may have been a day of recovery for many people out there following a night and early morning of festivities to ring in the new year. But for one group of people, January 1st was another reason to celebrate. It was on that day, back in 1804, that Haiti gained its independence. Here in Brooklyn, the diocese's Haitian apostolate gathered at St. Teresa of Avila Church to mark that anniversary. It was also an opportunity for one priest to bid farewell to the apostolate and another to take over the reins.
Bonne année Haïti! Bonne fête, indépendance à nous chaque. Nous-mêmes, comme Haïtiens, ça veut dire c'est un bel juillet pour nous-mêmes. Un bel jour côté que nous songeons, les ancêtres nous étaient gourmets, ils étaient bataille, ils étaient prendre liberté pour nous, que nous capables d'utiliser, que nous capables de dire bon Dieu merci, je dis.
We remember that day, we honor them, and in honoring these ancestors, we honor God who gives us true freedom.
Haïti entré dans l'histoire avec un pile bruit et jusqu'à présent, tout le monde qui réfléchit toujours qu'un grand respect pour l'histoire haïtienne. Là. Et c'est peut-être ça, nous recevons une aide sans précédent après gros événements tremblement de terre. Là.
I really wish for my country, Haiti, to be saved, for the people to have work, for people to be able to eat, for hunger to stop. People are still in tents as we speak.
The road is long, it takes time, and the rebuilding of Haiti will take years because of many complications there. But we see hope in the new government and in the ability of the Haitian people to be long suffering and to never give up hope.
As of this year, the military has called me to work and as a chaplain to help the men and women in the armed forces. Moi, obligé de retirer comme directeur apostolat avec cœur content. Moi, demandé nous pour nous accueillir nouveau directeur, Père Jean-Moïse Delva.
Well, Father Delva is one of the young Haitian priests with a lot of energy. We had to pick a successor, and Father Delva is well respected by all the priests, and we like to have the younger priests do it. They have more energy and more ability to gather people together, so that's why he was chosen.
I wasn't expecting this choice, but when Monsignor Marino called me, he said to me that I've been appointed by Bishop DiMarzio, so I just said, okay. I should just say yes. Without any hesitance, I just say, okay, here I am, I come to do your will.
Father Delva, let me tell you, he's very dynamic, and I know he's full of potential. I trust him. I believe he's gonna do a very great job. I'm with him 100%.
My message to the people here in the diocese is to continue to do what best we do. We pray together, we work together, and we worship God together.
Viva Haïti! Viva Haïti!
We wish Fathers Donaldson Thevenin and Jean Delva all the best in their new roles. And stay tuned, there's more Currents ahead. Relief for a group of nurses in New Jersey. We'll have that story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Maria Elena Giassi. Coming up later, a look at the Iowa caucuses and some of the funnier moments from the campaign. But first, let's have a look at the day's headlines. A New Jersey hospital has agreed to not force a group of nurses to participate in abortion or abortion-related services. The nurses had sued the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey back in October after the hospital notified them of a new policy requiring them to assist in abortions. Under the new agreement, the nurses will be allowed to remain in their current positions and not be required to participate in abortion procedures. The nurses will be required to help in any life-threatening situations if no other staff members are available to assist. New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith, chairman of the Congressional Pro-Life Caucus, says the hospital must enact a policy respecting the nurses' consciences without any loopholes. Meanwhile, it may be deja vu all over again in Pensacola, Florida, following a New Year's Day fire at an abortion clinic there. Reporter Sue Strawn has the story.
The fire that lit up the night sky over North 9th Avenue rivaled the fireworks display that had just ended in downtown Pensacola. It took firefighters just 1 minute to respond to the calls.
And we did receive a complaint, in fact, I think several complaints of the smell of smoke. The officers responded to the clinic here, and in a short amount of time in the response, the building had already been completely engulfed in flames. The flames were actually coming out of the roof.
The first calls came into 911 at 12:56, and for people who've lived in the area for a while, when they got here to the scene, it was very reminiscent of Christmas Day 1984. That's when 3 abortion clinics in Pensacola were bombed. Subsequently, 4 young people were tried and convicted for those bombings. The fire was started in the back of the building, and it took the crews over an hour to get it under control to a point they could enter the building. The fire marshal will take over the investigation, which may take a while, but already there's another striking similarity to those Christmas Day bombings.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This, unfortunately, is not the first time we've been up here under similar circumstances. So, again, that's why we're treating it the way that we are. Based on what we've been told, it does appear to be suspicious in nature.
That report from Sue Strawn. According to its latest fiscal report, Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider, topped $1 billion in annual assets, its highest number ever. In a press release, the pro-life organization, the Susan B. Anthony List, says 46% of Planned Parenthood's annual revenue comes in the form of taxpayer subsidies. Planned Parenthood says it receives no federal funding for abortions and that the money goes only toward contraception, prevention, and other medical services for low-income women. From Philadelphia, sources say Archbishop Charles Chaput is planning to sell his official residence. In a story first reported on the blog Whispers in the Loggia, Archbishop Chaput will reportedly sell the mansion, which the Philadelphia archbishops have called home since 1935. It would not be the first time Archbishop Chaput has made such a move. In 1999, when he was Denver's archbishop, he sold his predecessor's residence and moved into the archdiocese's seminary. The latest news comes less than a month after the archbishop released a pastoral letter outlining the struggles the Archdiocese of Philadelphia will face in 2012, including the conclusion of an abuse case involving the former vicar of clergy, 2 priests, a former priest, and a former teacher. From Las Vegas, a Catholic priest's gambling addiction will be used to argue for leniency when he is sentenced next week. According to court documents, Father Kevin McAuliffe, the former Vicar General of the Diocese of Las Vegas, stole $650,000 from his parish. Under a plea agreement, Father McAuliffe admitted to 3 counts of mail fraud. His sentencing is scheduled for next Friday. From Egypt, villagers attacked the home of a 17-year-old Coptic Christian student after a drawing of Muhammad appeared on the boy's Facebook page. According to an official, the student claims a friend posted the picture. According to the Associated Press, villagers attacked his house and set fire to other Christian homes. Egyptian authorities are detaining the boy. Meanwhile, the Vatican news agency Fides reports that 26 pastoral workers, including 18 priests, were killed in 2011. According to the report, Colombia had the highest death toll at 7, followed by 5 in Mexico and 3 in India. The total number was 1 more than the previous year. And Pope Benedict rang in the new year with Mass to celebrate the annual World Day of Peace. The Pope was brought in to St. Peter's Basilica on a moving platform, which the Vatican says is an effort to conserve Benedict's energy. Ambassadors from several countries attended the Mass, during which the Pope spoke about world peace and the need to educate young people with values.
Di fronte alle ombre che oggi oscurano l'orizzonte del mondo, assumersi la responsabilità di educare i giovani alla conoscenza della verità, ai valori fondamentali dell'esistenza, alle virtù intellettuali, teologali e morali, significa guardare al futuro con speranza.
Pope Benedict said that with the greater availability of technology, it's more important now for parents and teachers to educate children early in their lives. And more than 2.5 million people met with Pope Benedict in 2011. According to the office that coordinates audiences with the Pope, that number included people who met with Benedict in general and private audiences, as well as liturgical celebrations. The number only includes meetings that took place at the Vatican or his summer residence at Castel Gandolfo, and does not include the many who came to see the Pope during his trips elsewhere in Italy or abroad. And details on Pope Benedict's trip to Cuba and Mexico have been released. The trip is scheduled to take place from March 23rd to the 28th. Benedict will arrive at an airport in Leon, Mexico, where he'll be greeted by the city's bishop along with Mexican President Felipe Calderón and other dignitaries. During his visit, Benedict will meet with government officials and Mexico's bishops and celebrate an open-air mass. He's scheduled to arrive in Cuba on March 26th, where that country's bishops and President Raul Castro will greet him. The Pope will celebrate Mass to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the apparition of Our Lady of Charity, the patroness of Cuba. He'll also meet with President Castro and celebrate Mass at Revolution Plaza, the same place Pope John Paul II celebrated Mass back in 1998. The personal ordinariate for Anglicans to enter the Catholic Church has officially been established. Rome Reports has details.
As of January 1st, 2012, Anglicans in the U.S. now have the option of joining the Catholic Church under a so-called personal ordinariate. The decision was established by the Pope and the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. This allows Anglicans to join the Church while still keeping part of their liturgical practices. Its official name is the Personal Ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter, which will be led by former Episcopalian Bishop Jeffrey Neal Steenson. It will be based in Houston, Texas. Jeffrey Neal Steenson joined the Catholic Church back in 2007 and was ordained a priest in 2009. The 59-year-old priest is married and has 3 children. Because of this, he won't be ordained a bishop, nor will he be allowed to ordain priests. He will, however, be part of the Conference of Catholic Bishops, where he will have voting power. So far, over 100 Anglican priests have applied to become Catholic priests in this newly established ordinariate. 1,400 Anglicans from 22 different parishes have also showed interest. By being part of this personal ordinariate, members will be in full communion with the Catholic Church. This is only the second ordinariate to be established by the Church. The first one was back in January of 2011 under the Personal Ordinariate of Our Lady of Walsingham for England and Wales. Currently, other cases are also being considered for Australia and Canada. Worldwide, roughly 77 million people belong to the Anglican Church. The U.S. Episcopal Church has just under 2 million members.
Stay tuned. There's more currents ahead. Coming up, Iowans cast their vote in the GOP race. We'll hear all about it and look ahead. Welcome back. What a difference a couple of weeks make. Tonight, as Iowans head to the polls in the first official race of the 2012 campaign season, Newt Gingrich is no longer at the top of the Republican pack. The former House Speaker, one of 2 Catholics running for the GOP presidential nod, has dropped 19 percentage points to 4th place among likely caucus goers, according to a CNN Time poll. Meanwhile, the other Catholic in the race, former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum, has jumped ahead of Gingrich to 3rd place. Will it mean anything as Iowans gather to vote? To make sense of it all, our news director, Ed Wilkinson, spoke with the editor-at-large of National Review Online, Catherine Jean Lopez.
Catherine Jean Lopez from National Review Online. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Ed.
Here we are. The Iowa caucuses are here, and the votes are beginning in earnest now. We're looking at two Catholic candidates, Speaker Gingrich and Senator Santorum, whose fortunes seem to be going in different directions at this point. What happened to Speaker Gingrich? He seemed to be a sure shot a couple of weeks ago.
Well, it's been a remarkably fascinating race in the sense that you really couldn't predict at any point what a caucus day would look like, really. Rick Santorum said on Tuesday morning, "I'm fairly confident that I won't be last like everybody was predicting for so long," which is a safe bet to be making at this point. But of course, we've gone through all these different phases where Herman Cain was the guy on top, and then Newt was for the former Speaker of the House, of course, was for a period. But as some have suggested, maybe the surge came a little too soon. Some people are suggesting that even Santorum's may have come a day or so too soon, and the surge is over by caucus day. The fact of the matter is, I've been doing this too long now to make any predictions because Romney may come in first, Santorum may come in first, but what you've seen is, I think there are a couple of things going on. One of them has been, we had about 18 debates, I believe, and people actually at a certain point do wind up listening to some of the candidates, and I think that's not the case for everyone. But
what do you think the appeal of Rick Santorum has been this last week or so?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. The conventional take is that people are desperate not to have Mitt Romney, and he's the last alternative to Romney who hasn't been considered. I'm not sure that's all of it. I actually think it has something to do with the substance of his message and style this campaign. Part of which is highlighting his family's working class backgrounds. He represented Steeltown in Pennsylvania for so long. The Pennsylvania thing, although he has the having lost by 18 points in his last Senate race, that makes people a little skeptical to jump on board. He's got that going, but on the other hand, he has this authenticity to him that I think people are looking for in other candidates and don't necessarily see. So he's been talking a lot about family and not in the way that he's caricatured as talking about family all the time. Obviously, we know he's pro-life and pro-marriage and pro-traditional marriage, but these aren't the issues that he's made front and center. He's actually done a great job of painting the full picture of how economic policy needs to uphold the family as well as social policy, and I think that resonates with people because it's painting a fuller picture.
And he and Speaker Gingrich both are quick to admit that they're Catholic. Does faith play any role in the campaign anymore? We've only had one Catholic president. Does being a Catholic help or hinder a candidate these days?
When it comes to religion and the disadvantage in this campaign, people are saying is Mitt Romney's because we haven't had a Mormon president, obviously. Almost if there's any bias against Catholics, I think it might be subsiding a little bit to the bias against Mormons at this point, which I find a lot of Catholics find some common ground who know their recent history, have some common ground when they see Mormons being picked on. You may not agree with their theology, but darn it, we believe in religious freedom, and we're not going to let anybody do that to another group. I think we see a shift. I at least hope we see a shift. In the past, we of course know when you think of Catholics in politics, you think of the Kennedys. Not to pick only Kennedys, but or the Joe Biden brand, or Kathleen Sebelius, our current Secretary of Health and Human Services, who of course all have in common the fact that they're pro-legal abortion, and then some. And it's nice to be seeing here in this current crop Unlike last time, frankly, where we had Rudy Giuliani, where we had a Republican governor of California who's Catholic, who were both pro legal abortion. So to see this shift, at least this season, I hope portends a trend.
In our final seconds, I know you don't like to make predictions, and I know that the polls show a lot of unpredicted votes. But what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think you're going to see clearly Mitt Romney and Rick Santorum having a good showing, and I think that's not necessarily what you have to bear in mind. Of course, is very quickly we moved to New Hampshire, and Mitt Romney's likely to win New Hampshire. So the question then becomes, where does Santorum momentum pick up? Does money pick up for him? Because that's of course an important part of the picture. And what happens? So what happens next Tuesday, and then what happens beyond?
Right. Well, Catherine Jean Lopez, thanks so much for lending us your insights, and we'll do this again during the campaign. Okay?
Thank you so much, Ed. Take care.
Stay tuned. There's more currents ahead. When we return, the 2012 Iowa Follies, courtesy of the candidates. Finally, as Iowa's Republicans prepare to gather for their state's caucus, Newt Gingrich came out fighting today. Appearing on CBS's Early Show, Gingrich called former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, the current frontrunner among GOP candidates, a liar. Gingrich says Romney is not telling the truth about a political action committee running attack ads. The former House Speaker alleges Romney's staff created the committee, despite Romney's claim to the contrary. But the race has not been all about attacks and accusations. As we hear from CNN's Jeannie Moose, the candidates have brought some levity to the campaign.
If you're unexcited about the Iowa caucuses, maybe this lady's enthusiasm will be contagious. The candidates have been busy signing babies.
Did he give me permission?
He did. And signing cups that other candidates have already signed. The last-minute tizzy even extends to posing with Tizzy the Coonhound.
Tizzy this way, Tizzy!
Newt Gingrich suggested Tizzy go to his webpage, Pets with Newt, where owners and pets like Flint pledge their support. Though critics have called it
pandering to canine Americans.
But there's one pet you don't see with Newt. That would be Newt, the aquatic amphibian. And Newt, the candidate, isn't just lowering expectations, he's submerging them.
Whatever I do tomorrow night will be a victory, because I'm still standing.
Lately, Michelle Bachmann has been standing in someone else's shoes.
In the shoes and in the legacy of Ronald Reagan, or you might say of a Margaret Thatcher.
We are in need of an American Iron Lady.
She even refers to herself that way in a last-minute ad.
Has been a consistent conservative fighter.
America's Iron Lady. Not to be confused with America's Ironing Lady. Coming soon to a primary state near you.
Your problem is that you haven't got the courage.
And she'll never back down.
Michelle Bachmann plays Maggie Thatcher, who is played by Meryl Streep. She was an outsider who fought her way in.
My favorite gun is an AR-15 because you can be so accurate with it.
Gentlemen, shall we join the ladies?
Michelle Bachmann for president.
And look how far Mitt Romney has come to practically the same stage he stood on with his wife in Dubuque, Iowa 4 years ago.
I standing here, she standing there, and suddenly her half of the stage collapsed.
Flashback.
Thank you, sweetie.
Ouch. How are you? How are you? How are you?
I'm good.
A little later, she said, well, I fell on debut in Dubuque. So
there's nothing like Iowa caucus humor to soothe a sore coccyx.
I ride horses. That was nothing.
That report from CNN's Jeannie Moose. And that is all for this edition of Currents. Coming up tomorrow, remembering and praying for victims of violence. Until then, be sure to visit us online at currentsny.net. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. And if you have a question, comment, or story idea, email us. The address is dropusaline@currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Maria Elena Giassi. Thank you for watching and have a great night.